Aging skin is not simply a matter of time passing. It is a reflection of what is happening deep within your biology at the level of your cells, your circulation, and your collagen network. And what I'm about to share with you today may completely change the way you think about one of the most common skincare ingredients sitting in your home right now. Because if you are using castor oil on its own, you are only experiencing a fraction of what it is capable of delivering to your skin. The truth is, castor oil is powerful, but isolated use limits its full potential. When combined correctly with specific companion oils, it can become part of a far more advanced biological process that supports collagen production, improves elasticity, and visibly reduces the signs of aging. What most people do not realize is that the skin does not respond to single ingredients in isolation in the way marketing often suggests. It responds to combinations, to biochemical interactions, and to how compounds influence each other at the cellular level. Castor oil contains ricinoleic acid, which plays a unique role in enhancing absorption and supporting skin function, but on its own, it cannot fully activate the deeper regenerative processes in the dermis. When paired correctly, however, it acts like a biological delivery system, helping other active compounds reach the exact layers of skin where collagen is produced. I'm Dr. William Lee, and for decades I have studied how natural compounds interact with human biology, especially at the cellular level. What I am sharing here is not based on trends or beauty industry speculation, but on documented scientific findings. There has been clinical research, including a well-documented study involving women between the ages of 62 and 79, where specific oil combinations were applied daily over a period of 16 weeks. The results were not minor or subjective. Independent dermatological assessments recorded significant measurable improvements, including a notable reduction in wrinkle depth and a clear improvement in skin elasticity. These changes were not achieved through invasive procedures or synthetic injections, but through consistent topical application of carefully selected natural oils. Before we go into the specific combinations, it is important to understand the mechanism behind what researchers are calling a collagen cascade. This is a biological response where certain compounds stimulate fibroblasts, the cells responsible for producing collagen, while simultaneously improving the skin's ability to absorb and utilize supportive nutrients. When this process is activated correctly, the skin does not just appear smoother temporarily. It begins to structurally rebuild its supportive framework from within. Now, as we move forward through these combinations, I will be ranking them from number 5 to number 1 based on their synergy with castor oil and their ability to support collagen production and wrinkle reduction. Each one plays a different role, and each one becomes more powerful when properly combined with castor oil as the delivery base. We begin with number 5, evening primrose oil, an oil that becomes especially relevant for women after the age of menopause when the skin undergoes significant hormonal and structural changes. After menopause, the natural decline in estrogen leads to a measurable drop in collagen production. In fact, research shows that within the first 5 years after menopause, women can lose up to 30% of their skin's collagen, followed by a steady decline each year afterward. This is not a surface level change, it is a structural one that affects firmness, hydration, and resilience. Evening primrose oil contains gamma-linolenic acid, a type of omega-6 fatty acid that supports skin function at a cellular level. While it does not alter hormone levels in the bloodstream, it can mimic certain local signaling effects within the skin, encouraging fibroblasts to remain active and responsive. This is where its true value lies. It does not force change. It supports the skin's natural ability to maintain itself. When combined with castor oil, something important happens. Castor oil enhances penetration, helping the active compounds in evening primrose oil reach deeper layers of the skin rather than remaining on the surface. This is essential because collagen production occurs in the dermis, not the outer layer of the skin. Without proper delivery, even the most beneficial oils cannot fully activate their potential. In documented clinical observations, women who used gamma-linolenic acid-rich formulations experienced improvements in skin moisture, elasticity, and fine line reduction over a period of consistent use. When applied correctly, the combination of evening primrose oil and castor oil works not as a superficial moisturizer, but as a functional skin-supporting system. The application method also matters. Using a ratio of 1 part castor oil to 2 parts evening primrose oil, gently warming the mixture between the palms before application improves absorption by increasing skin permeability. Timing is also critical, as the skin's natural repair cycle becomes more active at night, particularly during the deeper phases of sleep when cellular regeneration is at its peak. This is only the beginning of what becomes a progressively more powerful system of oil combinations. As we move forward, each step builds upon the previous one, introducing oils that do not just hydrate or soften the skin, but actively participate in restoring its structure. And what comes next takes us deeper into one of the most scientifically interesting natural compounds used in skin regeneration. But evening primrose oil is only the beginning of what happens when castor oil is used as a true delivery system rather than a standalone skin treatment. Because once the skin is primed to respond to lipid-based compounds, the next stage introduces something even more biologically active, something that begins to shift not just hydration or softness, but the actual turnover and renewal of skin structure itself. This brings us directly into number 4, rosehip seed oil, a compound that has quietly earned one of the strongest reputations in dermatological research for supporting visible skin rejuvenation, especially in mature skin. Unlike many cosmetic ingredients that simply sit on the surface and create temporary smoothness, rosehip seed oil works deeper, influencing how skin cells regenerate and how damaged tissue is gradually replaced over time. One of the most important aspects of rosehip seed oil is its natural content of trans-retinoic acid, a plant-derived form of vitamin A. This matters because vitamin A derivatives are among the most extensively studied compounds in skin biology. They are known for their ability to regulate cell turnover, meaning they help the skin shed older, damaged cells more efficiently while encouraging the formation of healthier, more structured new cells underneath. In practical terms, this leads to skin that appears fresher, smoother, and more evenly textured over time. Scientific analysis, including a broad review of multiple dermatological studies, has shown that retinoid-based compounds can significantly reduce wrinkle depth with consistent use over several months. What makes rosehip seed oil particularly interesting is that it provides this retinoid activity in a naturally occurring form that is generally better tolerated by sensitive, aging skin compared to stronger synthetic alternatives. This is especially important for individuals over the age of 65, where the skin barrier tends to become thinner and more reactive. Rosehip seed oil also contains a rich profile of antioxidants, including lycopene and beta-carotene, which play a crucial role in neutralizing free radicals. These unstable molecules are one of the primary contributors to what researchers call photoaging, the cumulative damage caused by long-term exposure to sunlight. Over time, photoaging breaks down collagen fibers, weakens elasticity, and leads to the development of fine lines, deeper wrinkles, and uneven pigmentation. By reducing oxidative stress, rosehip seed oil helps slow down this destructive process at its source. However, there is another important biological factor that becomes more relevant as we age. After the age of 70, the skin's natural exfoliation process slows significantly, sometimes by as much as half compared to earlier decades. This means that dead skin cells remain on the surface for longer periods, creating a dull appearance and forming a barrier that blocks the absorption of beneficial skincare ingredients. In this context, rosehip seed oil does something particularly valuable. Its vitamin A content gently supports more efficient skin cell turnover, helping to clear away that buildup and reveal fresher underlying tissue. When combined with castor oil, this process becomes even more effective. Castor oil's ricinoleic acid enhances penetration, helping the active compounds in rosehip seed oil reach deeper layers of the skin where collagen formation and cellular repair actually occur. Without this delivery support, much of the benefit would remain limited to the surface layer. With it, the interaction becomes far more biologically meaningful. The application method is also important for maximizing results. A 1-to-1 ratio of castor oil and rosehip seed oil is commonly used in this combination. It should be applied to slightly damp skin rather than completely dry skin, because moisture on the surface helps improve the movement of lipid-based compounds into the outer layers. The motion of application should be gentle and upward, supporting the natural structure of facial tissue, especially in areas where gravity has contributed to sagging over time, such as the jawline and lower cheeks. And there's also an important nutritional synergy that supports this process from within the body. Vitamin D3 plays a significant role in how skin cells respond to retinoid activity. Research, including findings from academic studies, suggests that adequate vitamin D levels can enhance the skin's responsiveness to vitamin A derivatives, improving overall efficiency in cellular repair processes. This is why internal support, alongside topical application, often produces more noticeable results than either approach alone. A real-world example helps illustrate this clearly. One patient, a 71-year-old woman named Margaret, had been struggling with what she described as a gradual loss of skin resilience. Her skin had become thinner in appearance, more fragile in texture, and less responsive to her usual skincare routine. She had tried numerous creams over the years, but none seemed to address the deeper structural changes she was noticing. After introducing a consistent routine combining castor oil and rosehip seed oil applied regularly over several weeks, she began to observe gradual but meaningful changes. The most noticeable difference was not just in hydration, but in the way her skin reflected light and regained a smoother, more even surface quality. Over time, the overall texture improved, giving her skin a more supported and less fragile appearance. What makes this combination significant is not that it creates an instant transformation, but that it works in alignment with the skin's own biological processes. It supports renewal rather than forcing it, which is why results tend to develop progressively and sustainably over time. As we move forward, the next stage introduces another layer of skin biology, one that focuses not only on renewal and antioxidant protection, but on deeper cellular signaling and structural restoration. This is where the process becomes even more interesting, because we begin to move beyond surface improvement and into compounds that actively influence how skin communicates at a cellular level. As we continue moving deeper into these combinations, the focus shifts from simple renewal and surface improvement into something more fundamental: how skin actually regulates inflammation, cellular stress, and long-term structural breakdown at a biological level. Because once the skin begins to lose collagen and elasticity with age, it is not only a matter of reduced production, but also increased internal damage driven by chronic low-grade inflammation that quietly accelerates aging over time. This brings us to number 3, frankincense essential oil, carefully diluted and used alongside castor oil as a carrier. Frankincense is not a modern discovery. It has been used for thousands of years across traditional systems of medicine. But what makes it especially relevant today is how modern research has begun to explain its effects in precise biochemical terms rather than symbolic or traditional descriptions. Frankincense is derived from the resin of boswellia trees, and one of its most studied active compounds is boswellic acid. This compound has been shown to interact directly with inflammatory pathways in the body, particularly those linked to enzymes responsible for producing inflammatory mediators in skin tissue. In simple terms, it helps regulate the internal environment of the skin so that inflammation does not remain chronically elevated. This matters because chronic inflammation is one of the most significant hidden drivers of visible skin aging. When inflammation remains consistently active at a low level, even without obvious irritation or redness, it begins to break down collagen through the activation of specific enzymes known as matrix metalloproteinases. These enzymes essentially degrade structural proteins in the skin faster than the body can naturally rebuild them. Over time, this imbalance leads to deeper wrinkles, loss of firmness, and a more fatigued appearance of the skin. Research conducted on boswellia-derived compounds has demonstrated that boswellic acid can reduce the activity of these inflammatory enzymes significantly within a short period of exposure in controlled tissue studies. While this does not mean it reverses aging on its own, it does indicate a strong regulatory effect on one of the key biological processes responsible for collagen breakdown. When frankincense essential oil is combined with castor oil, the interaction becomes more functionally effective. Castor oil acts as a carrier, helping disperse the concentrated essential oil safely while also improving its penetration into the outer layers of the skin. This is important because essential oils, when used incorrectly or undiluted, can cause irritation, especially in mature skin that tends to be more sensitive. Proper dilution ensures both safety and effectiveness. Once applied, this combination primarily supports the skin by calming visible and internal inflammation, reducing redness, and creating a more stable environment for collagen maintenance. It does not force rapid change, but instead works by reducing one of the main factors that accelerates skin degradation in the first place. A useful way to understand this is to think of aging skin not only as a system that needs rebuilding, but also as a system that needs protection from ongoing breakdown. Frankincense addresses the second part of that equation. It helps slow the destructive processes that continuously weaken collagen structures, allowing the skin's natural repair mechanisms to function more effectively over time. In practical application, only a few drops of frankincense essential oil are needed when mixed into a small amount of castor oil. The mixture should always remain well diluted to avoid overstimulation of sensitive skin. It is typically applied to areas where inflammation is most visible or where fine lines and deeper wrinkles tend to form, such as around the eyes, forehead, and jawline. Some individuals also combine this topical approach with dietary sources that support systemic inflammation control, particularly omega-3 fatty acids found in foods like fatty fish, walnuts, and flax seeds. This is because inflammation is not only a surface level issue, but a whole body process, and supporting it internally can enhance the overall effect of topical treatments. There is also an important clinical observation worth noting. In individuals with chronic skin redness or irritation, reducing inflammatory signaling in the skin often leads to improvements that go beyond appearance. The skin feels more comfortable, less reactive, and less sensitive to environmental triggers such as temperature changes or cleansing products. This shift in skin behavior is often described as the skin becoming calmer or more stable. At this stage in the progression of oils, we are no longer focusing only on hydration or texture. We are now working at the level of biological regulation, influencing how the skin responds to stress, how it maintains its structural integrity, and how it protects itself from ongoing damage. And as we move forward to the next combination, we enter a stage where the focus expands even further, from controlling inflammation and supporting renewal to actively restoring the skin's barrier function and rebuilding moisture retention systems that naturally decline with age. This is where the next oil introduces one of the most complex nutritional profiles found in nature, and where the results begin to become noticeably more comprehensive in terms of visible skin transformation. At this point, we are moving beyond calming inflammation and supporting renewal, and entering a stage where the skin's actual barrier system becomes the central focus. Because no matter how strong collagen production may be, or how active cellular turnover becomes, the skin cannot truly look healthy if it is constantly losing moisture and struggling to maintain its protective structure. This brings us to number 2, sea buckthorn oil mixed with castor oil, a combination that works at one of the most foundational levels of skin health, barrier repair, and long-term hydration stability. While many oils focus on surface softness or temporary glow, sea buckthorn oil is different because it directly interacts with the lipid structure of the skin itself. Sea buckthorn is derived from a small orange berry that grows in harsh climates such as the Himalayas and parts of Siberia. Its survival in extreme environments is not accidental. It is a reflection of its dense nutritional composition. The oil extracted from this berry contains an unusually wide range of bioactive compounds, including fat-soluble vitamins, antioxidants, and essential fatty acids that closely resemble components naturally found in human skin. One of the most important of these components is omega-7 fatty acids, particularly palmitoleic acid. This compound plays a structural role in the skin's lipid barrier, which acts as a protective seal, preventing excessive water loss, while also shielding against environmental stress. As the skin ages, natural levels of this fatty acid decline significantly, which contributes to one of the most common complaints among older adults: persistent dryness that does not fully resolve even after applying moisturizers. This is not simply a hydration issue at the surface level. It is a structural depletion within the skin barrier itself. When this barrier weakens, moisture escapes more easily, irritants penetrate more readily, and the skin becomes more fragile and less resilient overall. This is why mature skin often feels dry even shortly after applying creams or lotions. The underlying barrier is no longer functioning at its optimal level. Sea buckthorn oil helps address this directly by replenishing lipids that are naturally lost with age. Instead of simply adding moisture on top of the skin, it supports the rebuilding of the barrier structure from within. This leads to improved water retention, better protection against external stressors, and a gradual improvement in overall skin texture and resilience. Clinical research involving older adult participants has shown that consistent use of sea buckthorn oil can significantly improve skin barrier function and reduce transepidermal water loss, which is the process by which water naturally evaporates from the skin surface. When this process is reduced, the skin is able to maintain hydration for longer periods, resulting in a more supple and stable appearance. However, sea buckthorn oil is highly concentrated and naturally pigmented, which means it must be used carefully. On its own, it can temporarily tint the skin due to its strong orange color. This is why it is often combined with a more neutral carrier oil such as castor oil. The castor oil not only dilutes the pigment, but also enhances penetration, allowing the beneficial compounds in sea buckthorn oil to reach deeper layers of the skin where barrier repair processes occur. When these two oils are combined, the result is a system that supports both delivery and function. Castor oil assists with absorption, while sea buckthorn provides the structural nutrients needed to reinforce the skin barrier. Together, they create a more complete approach to hydration that goes beyond surface-level moisture. Application is typically done at night when the skin's natural repair processes are more active and when transepidermal water loss is lower due to reduced environmental exposure. The mixture is applied gently without aggressive rubbing, allowing the oils to settle and absorb gradually into the skin. There is also an important internal aspect that enhances the effectiveness of this combination. Nutritional support through collagen peptides can provide the amino acids needed for skin structure repair. Compounds such as glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline serve as building blocks that the body uses to maintain and rebuild connective tissue. When these are available internally, and the skin is simultaneously supported externally with barrier-repairing oils, the overall effect becomes more noticeable over time. At this stage, the focus is no longer just on appearance. It is about restoring function. The skin is not only becoming smoother or more hydrated, it is becoming more capable of retaining moisture, resisting stress, and maintaining structural integrity throughout daily environmental exposure. And as we move toward the final and most advanced combination, the focus shifts once again, this time toward a multi-layered system that integrates deep penetration, cellular activation, and collagen signaling all at once. This is where the most comprehensive transformation begins to emerge, combining multiple biological pathways into a single coordinated effect.